Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3:01 p.m. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today, but it's time for another live stream here in Chicago, Illinois. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. How you guys doing today? I'm doing okay. I'm very tired. I had my first speed workout of the new training plan that I made the video about today. I'm a couple days behind in terms of like the videos and the stuff I'm talking about in the video and like real life. I'm on day 3 in real life. I had my first speed workout for today and it was tough. It was very tough. So I am super tired. And the area that I'm tired is in like my abs, like my core. My breathing just feels a little bit, not labored. Labored's not the right word, but I feel it like when I'm breathing, just like walking around the house or sitting around the house right now. It just feels like not winded or out of breath, but I just feel it in the core. And that just makes me think I gotta do more core work because I think that's what I'm really straining. And it's an area that's not getting strained or tested regularly. So I think that's what's going on. Got some water to drink for today. And yeah, let's get this podcast or live stream started for today. Everyone listening to the podcast version, audio only, welcome. Hopefully you're having a good run. And everyone else listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube after the fact, welcome. So glad to have you here. All right, let's see who's here live, though. We've got Philip Bourne says, what's going on? First 11K run in the 1080 version 11. Nice. They didn't have the version 10, so it can't compare. Or he didn't have the version 10, so it can't compare. But super comfy ride on the road and trail. Interesting. Very nice. See, the 1080 really... Oh, my daughter. It's all right. She just dropped a whole bunch of containers. She's making, we have a game called Don't Step in It. And it's a game where you have this mold and you take Play-Doh and you make fake poop and you blindfold yourself and you don't step in the poop. That's the name of the game. She's trying to play, it's a multiplayer game. She's trying to play it herself, but all she's really doing is making a whole bunch of different colors of Play-Doh poop. So that's what she's doing right now. It's all over. It's everywhere. She's got like 8 of them made over there. But yeah, the thing about the 1080 that confuses me is that like it seems like with New Balance, it's like the 1080 was almost a mistake. And a mistake in the sense that like the numbered shoes seem to be more like of like what like New Balance was making. And then they started like naming their shoes, not numbering them. And like all the new fun shoes, the Beacon, for example, like the Zante Pursuit, they all had names and animal print, but all like the regular shoes had numbers. And then the 1080 V10 like crossed over and like mixed everything up. So now I don't really know like, you know, there's no like uniform system for like the numbers versus the names. In either event though, it's a really good shoe. I look forward to getting it. I don't know if I'll get it soon, but I'll probably end up getting it soon. Mihi says, yo, about yesterday's 7x1K intervals, he's doing a Jack Daniels plan as well. He's on the half marathon plan, 8% of weekly miles at interval pace, as he said in today's video, followed by another qualitative day of threshold. And Mihi says he thinks it works. Fingers crossed emoji. I hope it works. I mean, I understand the idea of stacking, cumulative fatigue, that kind of thing. And I know a lot of coaches on people that coach like cross-country teams, track teams, will do stacked workout days. But my understanding of like the stacked speed workout days has always been more along the lines of you want to make sure that your athletes aren't overcooking. And so like if you're going to have a day where you have a lot of threshold paces, then you have a second day of work after that. You put the second day of work after the threshold, like the slower, like the moderate effort day. So that way your athletes will know, all right, I can't go too crazy. I can't like try and beat the paces set for me today because I got another speed workout tomorrow. I've never really thought of it from like a physiological perspective, but you know, going to conduct another N of 1 experiment. We'll see how it goes. But I'm glad to hear that you're going through it right now and it seems to be working for you. So good. David Gutierrez says, a lot of people say early bird gets the worm, but in order to talk about the worm, you need to be up before the bird in order for the birds to get it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess in that allegory, the worm gets up even earlier and always dies. So, so Martha says, so are we worms or birds? After all these mostly holed up at home, she feels more like a worm. Yeah. After all these months, mostly holed up at home. Yeah. Yeah. It's not really sure which one we are anymore. Philip says, last week, Monday morning, I was at the office for a few minutes to check the P.O. box. Everything felt so abandoned and empty. Yeah, I haven't been to my office in a very long time. It'll be interesting to see what's like. My phone's ringing. Ines is here today again. Good to see you. Hi, Kofuzi and everyone. Really cold on tonight's run with Pip. Really makes a difference in how cold. The wind really makes a difference in how cold it feels. That's for sure. It's for sure. Like, it's funny. I follow the Midwest versus Everybody Twitter account. It's one of my favorite Twitter accounts to follow. And like right now, everything is about how like Midwesterners are like, it wouldn't be so cold if it wasn't for that wind. Because that is something that we say a lot. I say it a lot, for sure. I definitely say it a lot. And when we were in Iowa, it was also something we would talk about a lot. It's just it frequently comes up in conversation. Louis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? Did someone say San Diego? Yeah, it's really nice and warm, I think, right? All right. Landon Gunderson is here. Says, what up, what up? What's going on, Landon? JC says, how do y'all first run in the path? Not elite long sleeve last night. Felt great. Awesome. I ran in mine today for my speed workout. Felt good to have it on. It was a good choice. I mean, today I had 2 layers. I had the long sleeve and then like a thicker, like, it's not a hoodie, but it's a Belief hoodie, BALEAF, like hoodie that I have. It's a thicker material. So I wore that one. The temperatures were cold today. It's like 19 degrees or so. And it's going to get colder for the next couple of days. But I was nice and warm. Just the 2 layers worked out well for me. Yeah, all right. Let's keep scrolling down. Runner Dre says, hey, everyone. What's going on? Oh, he says, hi, everyone. What's going on, Runner Dre? Tab Hunter says, evening all. Now it's not dry January. Are any of you drinking yet? Oh, that's funny. I've never done Drive January before. I've never felt compelled to do it. But it seems like it was a much bigger thing this year. Maybe like given, the circumstances, people have probably been hitting it pretty hard the last, half a year or more. So maybe that's why it was. I do want to take a minute right now. If anyone's new today, I'd love to hear where you're coming in from, if you're comfortable sharing, or if you want to just hang out and take it all in today. Totally cool. But welcome in either event. And if you have any running questions, I'm going to try and get through all the chat. It takes me a while kind of in the beginning because people get here before I do, and then there's lots of chat built up. But we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. And but if I miss it, feel free to put it in there again. I want to make sure if you came here with a question that you get an answer to the question. Although sometimes I can't answer all the questions, but I'll do my best. And there's a lot of knowledge in this room, so definitely, hopefully, you can get an answer. Jason Dahl says, hi, everyone. What's going on, Jason? And Tab Hunter talking about the end of, Tab Hunter says, the Rugby Six Nations starts this weekend, and the beers have already been bought. That's awesome. When I lived in St. Louis, my buddy, one of my roommates was on a Australian rules football team. I know it's different than rugby. But yeah, rugby, both rugby and Australian rules, an Aussie footy. What do I call it? Footy. Footy was pretty big in St. Louis, or I guess like relatively speaking, as big as like those kinds of sports can get in the U.S. A lot of my friends ended up participating. I never did, 1, because I'm a little guy, and 2, because at the time I didn't have any health insurance. So I was like, a full tackle, like a full contact sport with no pads, is probably not a good thing for me to get involved in at the moment. But I've never played, but it looks like a fun game. Roberto says, hello, Kofuzians. Just a quick check-in before I hit a recovery run. Everyone stay safe and hope my fellow Chi-Towners stay warm this weekend. Yeah, I think it's going to be real cold. I think Saturday night is going to be the real cold one, like -10 Fahrenheit. That's going to be chilly. Ryan Cabal says, yo, what's going on? It's Thursday morning in Japan and from the future. Awesome. Hope you're having a good morning, Ryan. Spence Ohm says, what's going on as well? Good morning, guys. All right. The chat just jumped on me. Sometimes it does that, just scrolls me to the bottom, letting me know how far behind I am. So, all right. CV76 says, can you easily transition from rugby to running? I don't know. I never played rugby, but I mean, the way that I would probably play it, it'd be fine because I would just run along the perimeter away from everybody. That would be like my style. Just stay away from people.
I stepped on the poop.
You stepped on the poop?
Yeah, I
Oh
took
boy.
as many
Hey,
steps as I
can you
wanted
take your
to.
socks off when you play that game?
Oh,
That way you don't get the Play-Doh in your socks?
okay.
All right. She stepped in the poop, guys. All right. Rick says, for rugby, one does indeed need health insurance. Let's see. Dale Carter says, yo, hello from Dallas. Awesome. Welcome, Dale. 70 degrees. First time listener, long time not only. Awesome. Welcome. Hope you're having a good day today. I like this avatar picture you got here, Dale. Looks like good energy. Awesome. You stepped on the other poop?
I stepped on black poop.
Oh, boy. Is it in your toes?
No.
All right. Well, go on. Keep playing. Rainer says, how are the girls adjusting to being back in Chicago? I think that they're doing, overall, they're fine. The kids are always fine, that kind of thing. But, we don't get nearly as much outside time, which concerns me. And, you do see that kind of in their behavior after a while, combine like not getting enough outside time with being in a much smaller space. And, siblings can kind of start picking at each other a little bit. So before when that would happen, I would just say like, guys, this house is giant. Find another room to go play in, but here I can't be like that, or I can't tell them to go outside, or I can't ask my daughter to go walk the dog, that kind of thing. So that's where it's a little bit more difficult, but they're in really good spirits.
I didn't step in poop.
Oh, successful run. Good job. She didn't step in the poop that time, guys. David Litzone says, what's going on? I haven't been in a while. Been doing a lot of exercise. Also changed my profile pic. Oh, there we go. That's from that 1K time trial, isn't it? Looks good. Looks good. Stephen Gerger says, keep playing. LOL. Said like a veteran dad. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Camilla Linden says, hi from Sweden. Wondering what do you eat after running? I have breakfast after running, but I always end up hungry anyway. / new runner. Good job. After running, I usually like to get, if I can, I know a lot of people have like very strict rules, like you got to get in something within the first 30 minutes and it's got to be like this proportion of carbs to proteins. And I think that's generally good advice. I always want to eat something because I'm hungry after a run. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. What I notice is if I don't get something in like relatively soon, I'm just going to be in like starving mode all day. And all day, I'm just going to be like kind of wandering around the house thinking about what I can eat real quick. So I do tend to look for something with a little bit of protein in it, but also some like fast carbs that I can eat. Usually, like I like to have almond butter and jelly sandwich, toasted bread, and some almond butter. So you're getting some fat, some protein, some sugar, some salt.
On another poop.
Good job.
I stepped on poop 3 times.
Oh boy. So that's kind of what I would look for. And for me, like, yeah, if it's a big, if it was a big run, a big workout day, you probably are going to be kind of hungry throughout the day. So I tend to snack a lot. But if like even on an easy day, you're always like kind of hungry, I think that's more of a sign that you need to pay a little bit more attention to what you're eating, like more closer to after your run. Maybe bump up the protein content to kind of replenish what your body is looking for. Stephen Gerger says, what do you guys think about a can of SpaghettiOs for recovery? I think you'd be good in the salt department and the sugar department. That's probably about it. Noven Lagua says, good morning, Kofuzonians from the Philippines. Welcome. Good to see you. Stephen Gerger like sodium, fast carbs, and potassium from the tomato sauce. Heats fast and simple equals SpaghettiOs. Okay. Yeah, it would be fast carbs. Is there potassium in the tomato sauce? I'm not sure. Maybe. I'm probably not going to recommend it, but, convenience and speed, go a long way. My cow says, I also play Don't Step in the Poop when I'm running. That's funny. Leona Wong says, chocolate milk is my go-to recovery drink. Is it really, Leona? I remember that was like a big push for a while. And I was like, oh, like the dairy council's really going after like some of that like new fitness, those runners. But I'm like, I'm just not sure how I'm feeling about like milk after a run. But then when I think about it, I'm like, but I'd take a smoothie any day. If it's got even like a yogurt smoothie, you know, like I'll eat that fine. So like I don't know how yogurt milk is a bad idea. Runner Dre says, during weekly meetings with my advisor, her daughter always makes an appearance knowing that she can practically ask for anything like cookies. That's funny. Yeah. Smart kids. The kids are smart. They definitely know what's up. Jana says, Heiko, how would you approach regular training after hitting weekly mileage goal? I want to keep that mileage my max for a while after that, like maybe a couple harder weeks and 1 week down. Yeah, so like if you've been kind of increasing your mileage for a while, like how do you then, what do you do with it at that point? I might every once in a while have like an easier week. If all your miles are just easy though, and you're not like actively training for anything and don't have like very many workouts, then your need for that might be a little bit less. But it could be good mentally / physically for you to have like an easier week, just because then you'll have a little bit more time and your body does recover from it, even if you're doing all easy running. So that could be a nice thing to do. But you know, at the same time, remember, I would like caution against like trying to be constantly at max mileage for your week. You know, I would shoot for like, you know, some weeks are more, some weeks are less. I would kind of go with the flow with weather and life, and then try to average it out to a certain point. So that's kind of what I would play with more. All right. All right. What's going on? Josh is here. Good to see you again. Jeff Elliott says, I want to go out with some local running groups, but we'll probably wait until after I'm vaccinated, which will most likely be summer. Yeah, I was thinking about that today because my running buddy, he's been here the whole time, and he's like, "Hey, you know, he knew I was coming back." And he's like, "If you feel comfortable going for a run, let me know." And I was like, "I need to think about that." But I mean, like today, you know, at the same time, like I haven't gotten together with him yet, but at the same time, I was out there on the path today, and like just the way that my intervals ended up working out, you know, I was doing some fast portions and like running either past people or sometimes on recovery or on fast portions, depending on the person. I was running like fairly statically, like the same distance behind people for not very long, but for some periods of time. And I was like, how is that different? I'm not sure. Is this safe? Is it not safe? I don't know. So like, it's probably fine. And I see a lot of running groups here in Chicago. There's a lot. And they're large groups, very large groups. But I'm like, yeah, I've gotten this far. Might as well wait it out. It's not that much longer. So that's kind of like where I'm at on that. I don't know. Probably erring on the side of overly cautious, but in this situation, I'm happy to be wrong on that side of things. Caleroy Retsepi. Did I say that right? Caleroy Retsepi says, hey, from Toronto. Awesome. First time I managed to set my reminder properly for the live stream. Super sunny and cold today, but got an 8-miler in. Awesome. Sounds great. Sounds great. Welcome. Martha says, Mike, you missed my yogurt kefir recovery comment. Probiotics in them make them better than milk. That's a good idea. You know what I've been eating a lot lately for right after my runs? I finished up all the leftover yogurt smoothies, or like Sesame Street branded yogurt smoothies. They were all like about a month past their kind of best by dates, but I was like, I'm going to go for it. So every day I would like taste it a little bit and be like, okay, tastes fine. And then I would eat it. But I did those. But I don't know. Kefir, it always disappoints me. I always feel like I'm going to like it. And then I taste it and I'm like, I don't like this flavor. But yogurt, I do enjoy. My wife makes a really good granola. And I like to eat it, like kind of like pour it in a bowl like cereal and then put just plain yogurt in it. I usually like full fat, just like regular, just plain yogurt. And then if we have any nuts or dried fruit and then some chia seeds, that's like my favorite, like after a run meal. I like it more than oatmeal because oatmeal's mushy. I don't like mushy. but I like oats and granola. The only problem is my wife doesn't make granola enough. I always end up eating it like really fast, and then there's no more granola. And then she's goes along, like she makes it when she feels like, and like the time between the granola. I just need to be more assertive in asking her to make it, or I just need to figure out how to make it. But I like it when she makes it. Naveen Lagos says, "What's the best recovery drink you prefer after a run?" My favorite is the Unived recovery drink, the turmeric latte. So good. It kind of tastes a little bit funny, and I think it's the turmeric, but I really enjoy that one. After that, I usually, other than that, like sometimes I'll just drink Gatorade or something with lots of sugar and some electrolytes, or I'll opt for like a protein shake, so like a protein powder, a couple scoops, and some water, mix it up, and just have that. So that's some of the drinks that I'll have. Let's see. Derek Dixon says, "I'm digging your choice of the Jack Daniels plan. Excited to follow along. Are you going to do it based off heart rate zone stills or as categories?" Yeah, like I feel like for a book that's so like revered, like the category system that Jack Daniels uses, he has R for repeats, I for intervals, H for hard, T for threshold, M for marathon pace, E for easy, and L for long run. A lot of these mean the same thing, so it's like really like confusing. But like, how do you convert that into like paces and stuff? What I'm going to do is I'm going off of like the general like pace efforts that they prescribe. So like and even that changes too, depending on like the skill level of the athlete. But like for me, so like the speed work that I'm doing, all those are at R. For repetitions, and repetitions for Jack Daniels are like the hardest intervals that you can do. Josh says he also has D for death. So funny. And Benoit says G for glute activation. Awesome. You guys are so funny. But the R for me, I think comes about to mile pace, like current. I think he defines it as a conservative estimate of what you could run your mile pace in right now. And so for the R, that's what I've been doing. I think the I for me is going to end up being about my 8K race pace. And so, I think it's somewhere between 5K and 10K. So I'm like, oh, well, I am training for an 8K. So I figure I'll use the intervals that are the I's that are called for in his plans to do race pace type of training, just to get used to like the pace I'm looking for. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And then from there, I'm going to correlate it to some of my power zones. So like, where does my mile effort power correlate to? And do it that way. So that way I don't have to worry about like hills. So I could just not worry about pace, just worry about the power output. So it's kind of convoluted, but that's where I'm going to go with it. Cameron McBride says, "My kingdom for one of these books, they're halfway decently written." I mean, it's well written, but like, so like I just feel like for as many tables as Jack Daniels' books has, there needs to be like another table that like just lists out the different paces and what they mean. But I understand how that can be kind of complicated because it changes. Because like his ultimate thing seems to be like for the mile pace effort for me, and even threshold pace efforts, like it kind of like changes depending on, because he wants to think about how much time are you spending working at intensities. And so like the distances and even the paces kind of can change within these different R, I, T, different groups. So, I understand that there's flexibility in there for good coaches to really tailor stuff and understand why he would tailor things. But from someone that like a dude that's like opening a book and like, how do I write this plan? It takes a little bit of time to kind of get through for me. Julio Rivera says, "Hey, Jack Daniels formula. What do you think about the app?" I've never used the app before. I'll have to take a look at that. Jeff Gogi says, "Not Elite Trucker hat came in yesterday. Time to wear it super duper unironically." Awesome. That's a great comment here. Like I just like the way it sounds. Awesome. Jay Pelican says, I have many, many sticky notes in my Jack Daniels book to remember the codes. Oh man, that's a good idea. I have it electronically, so like I feel like I don't like I don't like ebooks. I like audiobooks, and I think I like paper, kind of for that reason too, for like just be able to flip through back and forth through stuff. But yeah, like the ebook is really hard to kind of like wrap my head around a lot of times. Mark Salzman asks, have you read Born to Run? I've read most of it. I've my buddy who the one I told you guys about before they moved down to Austin a little while ago. He lent it to me before he moved and never gave it back to him, and I've still never finished it. But like, here's like the hierarchy. I prefer audiobooks, then paper books, then ebooks. But in terms of a likelihood that I'm actually going to read it, audiobook, very likely. Everything else, not that likely. So like, it's been sitting in like my closet for, I guess, years now, and I'm like, I have like 2 or 3 chapters left to read. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, I don't know why I've never finished it. It's a really good book. Shannon says, sorry for the repetition. Co, are you still planning on running 7 days a week, even with much more quality work? Yeah, I am now, because like the way that it would fill in is that like it's just easy days. So, I mean, the Jack Daniels plan just like contemplates easy running every day, but it doesn't tell you like, you know, run an easy 10 here, run an easy 8 here. It just assumes that you can figure out how many other, you know, miles you want to run on your easy days to get the mileage that you need for the week. And it also says like, you know, there's 1 day a week that's easy, no strides or nothing else, just easy. And I think that's the day that if you wanted to go 6 days a week, you could go, you could completely rest on that day. So I think I could do that. I could probably go with 6, but then, I mean, I don't know. The prudent thing would probably be to dial back to 6 and then also jump down the mileage level because there is so much more intensity. But I'm, you know, usually not that prudent about things. So I'm just going to barrel ahead and kind of do things my own way. We'll see if that comes to bite me in the butt later. It probably will, but we'll see how it does. All right. Mark Salzman says, you have to finish Born to Run to be an example for girls. Okay, well, I'll finish the book. I will. CV76 says, I'll just watch the movie version. There's a movie version of Born to Run? I didn't know that. Warren wants to know, what's the shoe is the closest to a more stable Nova Blast? I will say Vaporfly Next%. I'm not really sure. There's not a lot that's like super squishy and more stable. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think that once you're there, you're in like the squishy path. You know, I've been reading the ZoomX Invincible, and it seems like that might be it. That's probably it. Josh says he just gets the Cliff Notes. I don't think there's Cliff Notes for that Born to Run. Is there? That'd be interesting. Jeff Elliott says, I've got 80/20 as an audiobook with the supplement that is an ebook, and I wish I had the paper book. I'm the same way. I got 80/20 as an audiobook. And you know what ended up happening? I think I bought it as a book and as an ebook as well. Should have got it as a paper book. Yeah. There's a couple of books that I've gotten twice. I have in like in 2 forms, and none of them are paper. But I just feel like paper is useful, but it's also like something that it's like there's like a portion of my mind that once thing gets like put on a shelf, it's just gone. Lately, what I've been trying to do is, and I go through spurts where I do this, is I will go through like towards the end of the day, and if there's ever like a plastic bag or some sort of small container in our house that like appears, like a lot of times with groceries, you get those like little bags. We've been getting groceries delivered. There's a lot of bags when you do that. I'll take it and try and just like rummage around through my stuff and I make sure it's only my stuff because my wife gets mad when I do like the girl stuff or her stuff. So I do it for my stuff and until I fill it. And so I've been on a throwing away stuff spree. I try to throw away a bag of stuff a day. And so I've come across the book and I'm like, well, that's not my book, so I can't throw it away. So it's still sitting up there. Oh yeah. It's a dilemma. And Lewis says, I'm a paperback book, paper book reader. I just can't focus on audiobooks. That's another thing too, because it's like if you're sitting down, you got the for audiobooks, I do it while I'm running. And so like that makes it easy for me because I'm focusing and like on an easy run where I just kind of want to like have a nice chill pace, enjoy myself. Listening to an audiobook I think is probably my favorite way to run easy. But for like an ebook, I'm the same way. I can't focus because I'm like sitting down, I got the iPad out, I'm looking at like the Kindle Reader app. Then I'm like, oh, well, if I just swipe up, then I can look at all sorts of other apps too. So it's like, I've been thinking about getting a Kindle just because it doesn't have the e-ink kind of Kindle, just because then it won't have other apps. But I think now they make them where they have like web browsers and stuff built in. So I don't know. Shannon says she has the 80/20 in hardback, but it's her only running book, so she finds herself referring to it occasionally over the years. Yeah, I think that could be useful. I was listening to the one book where I was like, they needed to either figure out something else to do with the audiobook format, or I should have just gotten it in paperback, is Running with the Buffaloes. When you read that book, I don't know if you guys have read it before, but like the beginning of each chapter like talks about like the book seems to be centered around a season. And so like they talk about different races and like the performances and stuff. There's like a chart of like the finishing times, the different team members and how well they did, what place, what their times were. In the audiobook version of it, every chapter starts off with a guy reading a bunch of names and numbers for like 2 minutes straight. And you're just like, how can anyone, like, they might as well have just skipped over that and not told me it, then rather than like read it that way. Because either way, I'm not getting that information. So it's just kind of weird. Jody says, I like books better because I can put them on the shelf and people actually think I've read them, which makes me look smarter. Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, like in Beauty and the Beast, if he had all those books in ebook form, like he would never have had that connection. That was like the first connection he had with Belle, the book stuff. So it's like if he didn't have that, then like he never would have made that connection. Because he could have been like, you want to see all the books on my Kindle? Like she would have been like, what? That sounds creepy. But showing her the library was pretty impressive. And I know that's not where you were going with that, Jody, but that's where my mind went. Martha wonders if the version 2 of the Rebel will be a more stable version of the Nova Blast. The reviews so far say it's more stable than version 1 and super bouncy. That could be. Although I know I'm gonna review this shoe, and I normally tend to avoid them. I did look at Thomas because he's been just raving about it so much. And I heard about it on the podcast because I listened to the Believe in the Run, the Believe in the Run podcast. So he was talking about it a lot. So I heard a lot about it too. But he's been raving about it, and it could be that one, like a Nova Blast alternative. But I also wonder if the Road Blast is like a slightly more stable Nova Blast alternative. I haven't run in it today, but I was running by someone yesterday that I'm pretty sure had the Road Blast on, and I wanted to be like, tell me about those. But I'm like, no, in a pandemic, and it's like 15 degrees outside, and I don't know this person. Probably going to be kind of weird if I do that. So I didn't. Lucas Lilly says about Maffetone training. Cohen, one of your videos is that some runners complain that math pace is too fast to hold. Then you explain that this is the goal of training with math. And then it continues on. Where is it? A little bit further down. Where's the other half of that one? I saw the second half of it earlier. Where's the first half? Lucas. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, here we go. The second half. But if the pace is too fast for lower heart rate, doesn't mean he can go even faster? Yeah, well, yeah. So ultimately, what I mean by that, and hopefully this will answer kind of your question. So, like for some people, like that maximum aerobic function heart rate, like the 180 minus age, pulse rate minus 5, is a pace that they can't run every day easy because they'd be too rigorous. So what that means is then your speed work, instead of for me, which my speed work is at like 20 beats per minute higher than my maximum aerobic function heart rate, my speed work would instead still be an aerobic or a largely aerobic activity. So, or using more of my aerobic system. Not that, even if you're staying at within that range, I'm not saying that there's no anaerobic benefit, but that's the idea, is that like, everyone kind of thinks of it in the first stage of like, oh, this is all just slow running. But as you get stronger, your definition of easy will get lower and lower, even though your MAF number, that maximum aerobic function number, stays the same. And so what that gives you is playroom. You're playing kind of with the house money, where if it's a day where you want to get and do some hill work, you can, and still stay running only low heart rate. So that's kind of the idea with that. I've been looking at, like when you look at like Seth's heart rate, his numbers, even when he's running like really hard or like a moderate, when he does like steezy, his steezy is like 130 or 140 beats per minute. So for him to use like 180 minus his age, how old is he? Like 30 something, right? He'd be up to 150. That'd be a lot more rigorous for him. So like, that's kind of like what I'm talking about when you have that wiggle room. Same thing with Sage Candidate. If you look at his Strava, like a lot of his runs, he'll be doing like a 20-mile run with elevation up in Boulder, and the heart rate will be like 132 the entire time. And he's running, like 645s for his miles. For him, he's got a lot more room to play with to still stay within a strong aerobic range, because his aerobic engine is so gigantic. Someone else that I've been looking at their Strava lately is Elijah Orr. He's a runner out of, I think, like Santa Barbara area, some like OC area, maybe, somewhere in Southern California. And he's got a YouTube channel as well. And he's probably like the fastest non-professional I've ever seen run in Brooks. That's number one thing that's unique about him. But like most of his training runs, he's training for ultras right now, and most of his training runs are like he's running like 7 to 17 miles like throughout the week, like regularly, just easy runs. I think his paces are like 630 to 645 per mile, and I'm like, this guy must just be killing himself every day. But then I look at the heart rates, and it's like 140 beats per minute, and so like this is just insane. So those are really his easy runs. So incredible. I'm just not built like that. I'm trying to get built like that. I'm trying to build myself into that, but I'm not like that. All right. Cooper Davis says, "Have you read Running with the Buffaloes? Makes me want to run for CU one day, even though I'll never be that fast." I have read it. It was a very good book. There's some issues with it, not with the book, not like literarily, but it's a storied program with a lot of history. And, I feel like the author of the book did a really great job of creating kind of like like a entourage cast, so like it was really well done. And I feel like in the book, you get a great sense of like that team camaraderie that's in there. So it was a very good read. All right, looks like I'm really far behind on chat again because I was ranting for a little while. Sorry. Ines wants to know, Mike, what podcast are you listening to just now? This morning I listened to, I've been listening to a lot of, for like the last, like over a year, I've been voraciously listening to Mario Frioli, the Morning Shakeout podcast. I just love his interviews. And I listen to most of Matt Chittum's interviews. I listen to most of Ali Feller and Lindsay Hines interviews. Like, so those are like, I'll Have Another and Ali on the Run. Like, those are the ones that I watch or listen to pretty regularly. I've been listening to some of Ryan Hall's podcast, but like, I don't know. I have like mixed feelings about Ryan Hall. He's just a unique, and I don't want to say strange, but like I can't get a read on that guy. I'm not familiar with him as Ryan Hall, like the runner himself. I only know him from like his retirement onward. So like my experience of him is a little bit different. I listened to the podcast and I'm like, I'm loving it. But then I can't help but like think about Ryan Hall, the giant man now. And like, have you ever listened to anyone talk about Ryan Hall? He's always like, yeah, I'm just like, whenever I'm into it like 110%. So that, I mean, then I'm like, okay, so you're into weightlifting. If you're into weightlifting 110%, that means you're not into running then as much. So and it just feels like it almost feels like he tolerates giving running advice sometimes to like the public. And I know he coaches his wife and he's involved in it very differently that way. But like, I feel like when I hear him talking to me, I feel like he's like, these are knowledge, definitely really great nuggets of knowledge. And I'm learning, I feel like I'm learning a lot, but I also feel like he resents having to tell it to me. So I get a weird vibe from it, but the content is really good. I like it. So those are some of the ones that I'm listening to right now. Let's see. Galben says, Kindle is the way. Join us. Like the actual, like the e-ink Kindle. I've been thinking about it. And Christina Lopez says, I love my Kindle. It's so easy to check out free ebooks from the public library. That's an interesting point. I would like to be able to do that. The problem is I can't, when I read an ebook, it normally puts me to sleep. Because like if I sit down too long, I'll fall asleep. But the other thing is like audiobooks, I could do it while running, you know. The ebook, like I have to like sit down and do it, and I can't usually do other things in ebook at the same time. So that makes it very expensive time-wise for me. That's like, I think that's the main thing. Although Inna says it Kindle works so much better than I thought it would. I don't know. They're not that expensive, so maybe it is worth picking up. And if I could get library books with it, then maybe I can like get them for my kids to read some library books too. We'll see. Yeah. Rain Hunter says, my life has gotten very distracting with jobs, house hunt stuff, so I've neglected reading, but I need to get back to it. I definitely go in spurts. I'm sure you guys, some of you guys at least do that too, but I go in spurts. Frank says, whatever you do, don't start quoting your audiobooks as your Strava run titles. People will never let you stop. Oh, that's funny. Music Stuff Some says, hey from Scotland. What's going on? Good to have you here. Welcome. All right. Yeah, David Liston says, another person from Scotland. Let's go. Very cool. You have a contingent now. Jim Elliott says, maybe I can impress someone by having them scroll through my Audible one day. Yeah, but how would you like casually do that? You know, you'd have to be like, hey, here, look at this. And you'd have to like be like, look at all these books I read. I mean, that'd be kind of weird. Although I guess like at this point, like who's going to come over? I mean, are you having people over to like look at your bookshelf? Oh, I guess maybe though, here's the other thing. If you're on a Zoom call, you could have all these books in the background on your shelf and people could see that when you're on the Zoom call. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I have kids art. I got lots of that and it looks great, but I don't have books to show off. That's the thing. That's the thing we're not getting. Alec Earl says, just looked up running with the buffaloes and Run Around the World How to Make Yourself Poop showed up. That's funny. You know what's amazing is like on YouTube, like it gives it to me every once in a while too. And I imagine it must just give it to every single runner that's out there or anyone that's ever looked up anything running. But that Harry runs video of like 5 biggest mistakes I make before a run or something like that. It's got like 3 million views. Have you guys seen that one? It's a picture of him and he's like sitting on the toilet, you know? The thumbnail is great. The title is great. The video is pretty good. I mean, like, but like, I mean, I guess any video that has like over 1 million views, there's no like rationale. It just, some things just catch on and some things don't. But like, it's got like several million views. It's just amazing. I mean, and like, if I ever meet Harry, I'm gonna be like, what's that like? What's that like? I mean, like he's made so many great running videos, but like the defining thing that people know him for is like, you're the poop guy. I mean, I guess I'm the poop guy in a lot. I mean, we're all the poop guys. We're runners, so we're all the poop guys. But like, you know, I guess I'm the corn poop guy. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more serious or Harry's a little bit more serious than I am. So that might be a little bit more of a dissonance for me. It's kind of like, yeah, but yeah, like my channel is kind of like the poop channel, so it's okay. I don't know. Camilla Linden says, I love real books because I can see what I've read. I would forget otherwise. Definitely. I can relate to that. Like, I don't remember movies I watch on Netflix. It's a struggle. Yeah, but at the same time, I think I've read Catcher in the Rye about 5 or 6 times, each time forgetting that I've read it before, which I feel like it's a weird book. That book specifically is a really weird book to do that with. But yeah. It took me a while to like recognize that I had like read it before. And the thing is, I was buying copies of it too. And I was like, it's a book that everyone's like had to buy at some point in their life. So there was always like really cheap used copies. But I also think it was at the time when I was moving a lot. And so I just keep losing it. And I was like, oh, I don't see it on the shelf. So I'll get it again. Or I'll get it because I guess I haven't read it. So I don't know. Mark says we love the poop channel. Josh says the worst is running out of toilet paper when you are the poop guy. I don't know why, but that comment made me think about the pillow guy. Yeah, that guy's crazy. But I'll tell you what, I feel like if you are in the pillow, like in the premium or even like the sell on TV pillow industry, you've got to hate that pillow guy. Because I'll tell you what, I am never going to buy a pillow off TV or the internet because I'm going to be worried that it's somehow connected to the pillow guy. Okay, well, maybe the pillow guy made another business. He's removed himself from it, so he doesn't tarnish it, but he's still selling like the same pillow somewhere else. That's what I'm worried about. So I'm never going to buy any pillows off of TV. But lately, there's been some really good commercials for new pillows, and I'm like, I want to try some of those. But yeah, I don't know. I think he just ruined an industry or like a subset of that industry. Stevie76 says there's nothing like the aroma of porta potties in marathons. Yeah, I miss it. Carla says just take a screenshot of your Audible and use it as a virtual Zoom background. That's really funny. Oh man, I think I haven't watched any of like the media days because I don't like watch. I've kind of stopped watching professional football or American football for some of you guys. But like, I think it's funny, like for their media day interviews, like they're all like sitting these athletes in front of like a little green screen, like MTV Real World style confessional, and like they're green screening like stuff behind them. And then now like they're doing all these like news conferences or press conferences with like the COVID response teams, and there's just tons of like green screen action happening. I just think that's very strange. Like, I don't know, like. We've been in the pandemic long enough. You know, like we can all see the green screen. Just show me where you are. You know, like that's. You know, it'd be like I wouldn't show up. You know, like in a Zoom. Not to say that like Carlos is doing this, but I wouldn't show up to a Zoom, even if I could figure out a way to do it with like my Apple Bitmoji. You know, and do that because that would just be weird. So, but why is the background like okay to do that? I think it's kind of strange. Maybe it isn't. I mean, maybe I can make a big deal of it. But Jay Pelican says, isn't there a conspiracy theory about those who read Catcher? Is there? You guys said it was a conspiracy theory with Mel Gibson. That was a good movie. Is that the one where like they crossed the bridge and there was the red and white striped like smokestacks? That one? I'm gonna have to watch that one again. I can't wait till it gets to be a little bit farther away from Groundhog Day, and then maybe Groundhog Day will be available for me to watch on some of the things that I have already for free. That's what I'm looking forward to because I really want to watch that movie again. But Conspiracy Theory is another one that I think I'm going to watch. You know what speaking of Mel Gibson, is when at my in-laws' house, we watched a lot of like primetime TV as we were waiting for like the local news to turn on. And one day there was a really long documentary on Jonbenet. What was her last name? The little girl that got murdered. And the movie Ransom came up quite a bit in that movie. And I was just like, oh, I haven't seen Ransom in a while. I'd like to watch that again, which is kind of weird. But like the connection was like the ransom note in the Jonbenet Ramsey case. That's her last name. Was very similar to the ransom phone calls and stuff in a couple of different movies, like almost verbatim. So it was really strange. So that's how it came up. Now I want to not only watch Conspiracy Theory, Groundhog Day, and Ransom, but I also want to figure out, I didn't watch the whole rest of that documentary. I think it was ABC News. I want to watch that. I don't know where I can find that though. Maybe on the app somewhere. All right. Oh, and it's watched again another day last night. Did you like it? Was that your first time watching it? I think it was. Yeah. Raynor says, do we know whatever happened to Jonbenet? Well, yeah, I didn't watch the end of the documentary, so I think the answer is no. But apparently there's a podcast now, kind of like a serial, with it's the granddaughters of a guy, I think he's now deceased, who was one of the, like a detective that was brought on later on in the case when everyone kind of had given up. And yeah, so like part of the documentary talked about that. But there's these two granddaughters that have a podcast about it. And they go over like all their grandfather's like notes and like what he was thinking and the leads that he thinks still need to be like chased down. Tap Hunter says, Groundhog Day is the first film of the Christmas period in the Hunter household. Is it really? That's an interesting way to start it off. I like that. All right. Let's see. Let's get a couple more. Oh, yeah. Mark says Groundhog Day is on AMC. FYI. I think I had to subscribe to something, and I don't know if that's free or what, but, you know, I always forget to unsubscribe to stuff, so I didn't want to do that. But I may. Well, maybe I'll do it. Let's see if I can do it. But there's an AMC app? Maybe can I just sign in with my cable to get it? Because I don't know. I'll look into it because I do want to watch Groundhog Day. Frank says, and we'll end with this one for today. What's the story with the qualifying window for Boston? When do you have to run a qualifier for 2022? For 2022, I think it'll change because right now they're talking about for 2021. I think they're taking times from 20. I think Martha would know. I think it's, yeah. Yeah, Martha says they're allowing registrations as far back as September 15th, 2018. So you got quite a while back. And then for 2022, who knows? I don't think it'll be more than a year. I have a feeling that it'll jump to like, well, but then if they jump to like September 2020, then who ran a marathon in September 2020? So it might just be the prior year. So it might just be like starting in like 2021 and later. So it could be that. So who knows? So you might have to run a marathon this year if you're trying to get to Boston Marathon next year. But even then, I think they'd probably have to extend it, still make it a wider window because like a lot of places aren't going to have a lot of marathons even in 2021 to give people enough chances. I mean, I'm sure they'd still be able to fill the roster, but I think it would really piss a lot of people off if they were like, you only had like a 3-month window to run your BQ time. So I feel like that would skew to people that have very good times already, you know, and it would disqualify a lot of like would be like newcomers to that race. So I don't know. we'll see what happens with that. I mean, we'll see what happens with even just 2021 races. We're still on schedule to have an absolutely insane September through November, but will we get it? I don't know. But fingers crossed. Things seem to be going in the right direction. So, all right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be talking about the Ultra Boost 21. Got to run in that. Did an easy run and some strides. So a couple of different paces to check it out at. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's morning's video. And then we'll do another live stream. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? Thursday's happy hour. So bring your recovery beverage of choice and we'll hang out again. 3 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.